I won't be coming on camera right now. I'm not dressed. I woke up from a nap and turned on the news and saw the No Kings protest in Minneapolis. And I heard a woman on stage talking, and she was saying how she is an immigrant and her people and other immigrants cross borders and waters to come to America and enjoy a better life, to enjoy a better quality of life, and that they're escaping poorer conditions in their countries of origin. Okay. And I guess she feels like, I didn't finish watching it, but I guess she feels like she should be allowed to stay here legally. And it's unfair for her or her family or any other immigrants to be deported. Donald Trump is the president, and he suspended a TPS, the TPS, temporary stay of protection, TSP. I'm sorry, and that allows immigrants escaping persecution, escaping, fear, running for their lives. Basically, it gives them a pass to come into the United States of America, and then they receive all cash and benefits and housing and education and all that type of stuff. So Donald Trump suspended that, and basically he wants them all gone. He wants all the immigrants going back to their homelands, to their countries of origin, and the protest is against that. They feel entitled. Immigrants feel like they have a right to be here because in their minds, and they're basically saying that all of Americans, including black Americans and white Americans, are immigrants or were immigrants at some point. Or we're all immigrants because at some point we came into the country legally or forcefully. Okay, so that right there, just that's when I decided to make this video, because I have to give my opinion, and nobody might not listen to this. Nobody will probably listen to this, but I'm gonna say it anyway because I'll listen to it. The nerve of them, and I'm speaking as a black American woman, the nerve of her, the nerve of all you immigrants there and any immigrants abroad supporting that message. The nerve of y'all. How dare you? How dare she? Okay. Now, I'm definitely not speaking to, immigrants, because they're not going to listen to this. But I'm really hoping and speaking to black Americans, because this is what we like to say in our community. Don't fall for the okie doke. Okay? And we definitely not about to let them trick us about our spot. That ain't going to happen. Our ancestors paid the price to be here, paid the price to establish America, paid the price for the rights that the immigrants enjoy today, right now. The right that gives them the right to go to Minneapolis and get news media coverage, to protest against the country they are standing in and begging to stay in. The nerve of you, the nerve of them. Okay, the nerve of them. How dare they? Do not let them trick you about your spot. Do not let them have you out there tearing up stuff, protesting for them, fighting ICE for them. As a matter of fact, go join ICE. Go join the fight. Go become a member of ICE. They're hiring right now, and they're giving bonuses, is what I heard. Go see what's up. Go see what they do. Okay? Because they are crazy. You don't get to be a guest in somebody's house and the person asks you to leave or tell you it's time to go for whatever reason, and because you comfortable, because your house don't look like our house, or because their house don't look like your house, they think they can just stay and talk about how they're humans and they have rights. Not up in here, you don't. Go back to your own home country and try that stuff. Y'all get together, go country to country, use your visas. The same group in Minneapolis, go protest in Africa, go protest in Haiti, go protest in Mexico, go protest in in Mexico, and see what happens. But you won't do that because you know what will happen. So you ran your scary self to the United States of America, where the fight has already been won by Black Americans. You come to benefit off the labor, off the sacrifices, off the hard work. And I'm sorry, y'all, I know I keep switching. I'm meaning to talk to y'all, but I'm picturing this immigrant woman standing on stage with her chest puffed up, poked out, talking like she has a right to be in the United States of America, a country she didn't contribute to. She has no part in the establishment of the United States of America. She nor her ancestors. Where were they when Black Americans were fighting for civil rights? In recent years, where were they when Black Americans were protesting? Every day in the United States of America, Black Americans are in some way, some shape, some form being sacrificed or sacrificing to gain equal footing in this country. It's better than it was, but it's not as bad as best as it can be. It's not the best. It's better than it was, but it's not as good as it can be. And it's not as good as it will be. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. But then people have lost their mind. Won't even do the work in their own countries. But you'll come here and do the work here where it's safe, where you have laws and protections that Black people fought for, and some white people, because there were white people who also suffered for fighting with Black people. Excuse me, for fighting beside Black people. They sacrificed their families, they sacrificed their jobs, and they sacrificed their lives as well. While Black people stood side by side with their families, some white people crossed the line from their families and stood side by side with Black people and stood against racism and paid the price for it. And some are still paying the price for it till this day, just like Black people and their ancestors and our ancestors paid that price for us to live the lives that we live today in the United States of America. And the fight continues. But what's not going to happen, y'all not going to run like cowards from your own issues, your own problems, your own country. Right now, the United States military is helping the Mexican police force, I guess, fight the cartel. Okay? Mexicans flee to the United States of America because of the cartel. So all you Mexicans who fled to America, who are here right now, illegally or legally, why don't y'all go back to Mexico and help the United States fight in your own country to make Mexico better, to increase the quality of life in your country of origins, so that the people you left behind can live a decent life and experience the American dream, the American way in Mexico. Mexicans, you leave your people, you leave your hometown, you flee, you fled. You and your family, you and yours, you and your few. And now you're in America where it's easy, where it's better for you. But what about your people in your homeland? Because Black Americans, we didn't forget about our people during slavery. When slaves escaped slavery in the South and ran to the North, fled to the North, they fled, but they went back and got their people until we didn't have to flee anymore, until we didn't have to run away anymore. Black Americans, side by side with a few white Americans, fought for all the equal rights that all of you immigrants benefit from and get to enjoy today. And you feel entitled, but you're not. You didn't put in on this, man. You've done nothing but come to this country and extract resources and be in the way. All in the way. So yeah, I want to talk about something that's controversial, but it's important. It's controversial, but it's necessary. We need to talk about this, especially as Black Americans. Because we know the struggle. We know what our ancestors had to go through. And it's not even done. It's not even done. It's not even finished. But we press on every day as individuals, collectively. When there's protests in the streets, there are no Asians, there are no Mexicans, there are no Indians, there are no Somalians, there are no Africans protesting with us. Okay, it's just Black Americans and a few white Americans. But when the tables turn on them, they look to Black Americans and to white Americans to save them. And mad because Black Americans won't get up and do the work for them. Okay? Where's your sacrifice, immigrants? Should people who enter the United States illegally be allowed to stay and benefit from systems meant for citizens, particularly Black Americans, but for citizens and legal residents? And what does that mean for working class Americans? Every country has immigration laws. The question is, do those laws actually matter? Do those laws actually matter if they're not enforced? Because if they're not enforced, do those laws actually matter? Millions of people around the world try to come to the United States legally, waiting years, sometimes decades. So when others bypass that system entirely, it raises a serious issue of fairness. This isn't about attacking individuals. It's about whether rules apply equally to everyone. Okay? Now let's talk about job wages. When there's a large supply of unauthorized laborers, especially in low-wage industries, it can drive wages down or weaken bargaining power for workers already struggling. Black Americans gotta pay rent. So if those jobs are being taken because unauthorized labor and laborers are taking lower wages, then it's blocking people from the workforce. And that affects the most vulnerable Americans, first people trying to get ahead, not fall further behind. If we care about workers, if we care about America, if we care about Americans, black, white, we have to talk about how labor markets are actually impacted. There's also the issue of capacity, housing, schools, healthcare. These systems aren't unlimited. When population grows faster than infrastructure, quality goes down and costs go up. Is that not what we're experiencing? High as rent prices? That's not sustainable no matter where people come from. There's also a global question here I have personally. I want to know, why are people leaving their home countries in the first place? Corruption, instability, lack of opportunity, those are real problems. But if a long-term solution is always flee to America, those countries will never improve. Now, I know some people, have different opinions, but I feel like illegal immigrants, or immigrants period, should be focused on fixing the root causes in their own countries. Not just absorbing the consequences, but fix the root causes in your countries. And that's going to take sacrifice. Yes, you're going to have to sacrifice. Okay? Because there's a fact that gets left out, that Black Americans, and this is what I'm saying. Black Americans, listen to me, bruh, sissy, listen. Black Americans didn't have the option to leave when facing injustice in the United States. Instead, we organized, we protested, we fought to change the system from within. Okay? During the civil rights movement, people pushed for major legal changes, equal protection under the law, voting rights, and an end to legalized segregation. Those changes helped expand rights and protections across the country. And today, I would argue that those hard-fought gains are part of what makes the U.S. a place people want to come to. At the same time, it's also true that the struggle for equality and economic opportunity isn't finished. So the question becomes, how do we honor that history while deciding how immigration policy should work today? This doesn't have to be an all or nothing. A serious approach could include enforcing existing laws, securing the border, and creating clearer, more realistic legal pathways. That's what the immigrants at the 100 Kings March should be mentioning, should be fighting for, if you're going to be in here. Okay? Because right now, the system isn't really working for anyone. To be fair, and to be fair, there are some strong arguments on the other side. Many immigrants contribute economically, fill labor shortages, and are a part of communities. Okay? I get that. And there are humanitarian concerns for people fleeing dangerous situations. I get that. I understand that. But when you come into America and you'll accept $5 to do a job, $5 per hour, when, legally an American would have to be paid $20 per hour. Even though you work hard, even though you work honest, you are still in the way. You're not contributing to the overall benefit or stability of the United States of America. You just aren't. You are not. You're draining resources. You're in the way. Okay? But if you come here legally, then you'll get legal wages. You'll get legal work environments, or work conditions will be, you'll have rights. But when you sneak in here, you're going to get the worst and the least of everything. So why would you even want that? Because it's better than your home country? Well, go back and fight in your home country. You can't hide out like a little rat in someone else's country, on someone else's land, where the fight has already been fought and the battle has already been won. You want to come into someone else's house and sit in another man's chair and put your shoes on another man's table and watch another man's TV and hold his remote in another man's house, but you don't pay bills there, and you didn't build it, and you didn't buy anything in there, and you didn't sacrifice, and you didn't work for anything in his house. That man did. And when that man asks you to leave his house, you should leave respectfully. When that man says, these are the conditions of you being allowed to come into my home, you should observe them respectfully. You shouldn't fight back and say, or protest and say, well, I'm a human being. I have a right to be here. Again, not up in here, you don't. You don't pay no bills up in here. They don't pay bills up in here. Get out. Go back to your own house. Oh, well, your house isn't as nice as mine. Your house is in the slums. You like my suburbs. Your house is cold and a leaky roof. You like the fact that my house is, well maintained and put together, and the colors and the fabrics, and you like that. Okay, well, go back and build your own. You don't have a right to come and take over mine. What is wrong with y'all? Okay? So I understand those realities matter too, and ignoring them doesn't help the conversation, but at the end of the day got to end, and it comes down to priorities. How do we balance compassion with fairness, opportunity with stability? And who should the systems be designed to protect first? American citizens or immigrants? If they take over everything, how, they're not going to be able to maintain the United States of America. The United States of America will become their countries. That's what they want. And they want us out there in the street protesting, tearing our country up, tearing up the streets and the buildings and the monuments and the landmarks our ancestors built, because we're telling them to go home. So they want to tear up our house on the way out the door, knock over stuff on the way out the door, kick in stuff on the way out the door. No, 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 no. You gonna get your and you gonna get on. Thank you and come again. Okay, so if you're here illegally, you don't have a right to be here. And ICE is not treating you unfairly. If you want to help your family, if if there's a illegal immigrant, and advocate for them while they're going through the process. Self-deport and advocate for them on this side in America. Make those calls. Show up for them. Go to those court hearings. Hire that lawyer. Bring social awareness. Fight for them. But I don't appreciate them, standing on the soil of the United States of America and having an attitude and doing some stuff that they wouldn't even do in their own countries, and then trying to downplay slavery and the fact that Black Americans were forced to be here, like somehow they're equal. Their struggle is equal to ours. That's what I'm saying. That condescending entitlement BS is gonna get you messed up in these streets. No, I'm just playing, y'all. But don't fall for the okie doke. You know, I don't agree with them feeling like they have rights and should be granted rights to be here in America. If we went to their country, we wouldn't get half of the hospitality. We wouldn't be shown half the hospitality that they're shown, and that's including black and white American. Okay, illegally, South Korea, they didn't they pow some people for crossing their borders, for sneaking into their country. They don't play that nowhere. But America, you know, you want to come to America and play that here, but you won't even play that in your own house. You want to be loud and stomp around and kick furniture and do all that in my house, but you don't want to. But you won't do that in your own house. Oh, So, black Americans, I'm just telling y'all, don't let them trick you out your spot. Do not be out there with them protesting. They have lost their minds. And this is what we know, black Americans, that the immigrants don't know. This is what we know. Because of our history in the United States of America, this is what we know as black Americans. And as, you know, some as white Americans. They know too. But as black Americans, this is what we know. They're in the middle of wherever they were on national television. Got the United States news media. They're probably being shown all over the globe. Okay. And what they don't know, that we know as black Americans, right, is that all they doing is getting lined up by the United States government. Okay, right now, the United States government is changing laws to make it illegal for illegal immigrants and immigrants, period, legal citizens or not. United States of America, I guarantee you, the government, they are making laws right now to make it illegal for illegal immigrants and immigrants to protest on national U.S. soil, and that right to protest will be reserved only for U.S. American-born citizens, meaning black Americans and meaning white Americans. Watch. And next time immigrants are allowed back into this country, they're gonna have to act like guests and not like adopted children. Okay, y'all aren't adopted. Y'all are guests in this house. So that's all they're doing. So I'm glad they're getting their 15 minutes of fame. And then, you know, the president and ICE is gonna say, okay, you know, you got your fair shot. We were fair. We didn't run up on you. Da da da. Now bye. And then next time they re-enter the country, it's gonna be in the clause, as an immigrant, you cannot protest against the United States of America on the United States soil. If you want to protest, go back to your own home country. And that's what I say. Go back to your own home country and do the fight. Sacrifice the way black people have to sacrifice for the rights that you enjoy here in America.